All right, thanks for joining me. Jay Bond here, Bond Real Estate Group. So looking at market analysis or market snapshot, if you will, of the Central Coast, wrapping up for, this past month. So looking, there's still a lot of, how do I say, I think, I don't want to say false information, pumping into the marketplace, but I think there is a lot of spooky talk, again, as I mentioned during last month's video, from the news. A lot of people really wanting to pump fear right now into consumers and have them pulling their hair out, thinking the market's tanking and things are spiraling down and, we're just all headed towards a fiery, crash into the ground. And I don't see that happening. I'm going to be honest, being in the trenches every day for what we're seeing, at least with our own properties and our own listings and consumer engagement and feedback and activity, et cetera, for the market to really go down, right? There's a few things that are really impacting things. One really being housing supply, right? There is not a lot of housing supply right now. Even though we're seeing more and more inventory hit the market, right, as time goes on right now, we are still, undersupplied, and that's the reality of things. Looking at national data here, during this past week, the same week last year, inventory is actually up 27.8%, right? But if you actually look versus this same week back in 2019, we're actually down by about 42.6% from that time and place in the market. Wow, right? It's kind of interesting looking historically back. And that really paints a picture. There's not a lot of inventory, even with new homes hitting the market, et cetera, there's still pent-up demand, and there's just not enough oversupply, I think, to justify the market change that people are hearing on the news or that they're anticipating or forecasting for. Now, we are still seeing that in our client properties. Looking right now, and again, this is national data, this isn't just the Central Coast here, but during the month of July, even after interest rate hikes, et cetera, homeowners are experiencing about 2.8 offers for their listing, during that listing timeline. So again, not 15 or 20 like last summer, but it's interesting to see 2.8 offers on average, and they're from more serious qualified buyers. And then of course, 39% of homes from what they're reporting are selling for asking price or slightly higher, right? So that paints a different picture than what you're hearing on the news, and of course, things are going to be different, between markets, just within the state of California, let alone, nationally. But as far as national data is concerned, it's interesting to see that's going on. And I believe it's because of the overall lack of inventory and the demand still, right? There is a lot of cash flying around, right? So cash buyers don't necessarily have to be as impacted, right, by interest rates that people getting financing are. But still, nonetheless, we're seeing that. So it's very interesting to see. So looking at some of the data here, just from North County, and homes are still selling, but we have seen less homes sell year over year. So looking at just all the cities aggregate for North County and San Luis Obispo County, for this past month, we actually saw 178 sales in North County versus 166 just that same time last year in 2021, right? So a smidge up right there as far as increase in sales. Again, very different than what they're reporting on the news there. If we want to look in more of Morro Bay, Cayucos, Los Osos, Cambria marketplace, July we did see a dip, right? So this past month we saw 44 home sales versus 88, that same time and place in 2021, so down by quite a bit, almost 50% there. San Luis Obispo proper, 61 sales, down from 81 this time last year. Okay, and then looking at South County, and we'll just say that's going to be from Avila Beach down to Nipomo and everything in between. 96 sales this past month, down from 137 this same time last year in 2021. Right, so we're seeing a dip in overall sales, right? Yet people are still averaging about 2.8 offers for their home and getting around asking price, or at least 39% of those homes are getting asking price or a little bit more. So that really paints a story of just the overall demand that's still there in the marketplace. So, right now, and I mentioned this in our last, two months of videos, but we're in a very normalized market. I mean, it's still technically a little bit more of a seller's market, right? Because there's still, not as much inventory on the market, meaning there's less homes for sale, more demand versus, more inventory and less demand, right? Because of course, when buyers have options, it starts minimizing that level of demand. You have a saturated market. So all in all, it's slightly a little bit more of a seller's market versus buyers, but it's still pretty even keeled. There's still a lot of demand, but positioned well. And I can't stress this enough for our people at home that are considering selling right now. Guys and gals, hey, be extra focused on your pricing strategy. This is really, really important right now. If you think you're coming out onto the marketplace 10 or 15%, over market or even at market right now, you're probably going to sit for a little while. Is it 30 days? Is it 60 days? Who knows? Maybe 90. But just be very conscientious of that as more homes hit the market, right? What's going to happen when you have more competition? You're going to have less demand, less offers, and probably sit for longer. So how do you stand out from the crowd when you're on the marketplace? Well, you might want to consider being just a smidge under the next guy to really get some activity and spark interest on your property. Not to say you're going to leave dollars on the table, but you know what? You might actually get enough competition and offers on your property to see if it gets pushed up over your asking price, right? That happens. We're still seeing that a lot right now. Just be very mindful of your pricing. If you price too high, you're going to end up sitting there long period of time in the market. We are seeing a lot of price reductions across the board right now from people who are making that mistake. The people who are pricing more attractively closer to market value are getting a handful of offers still because of the overall lack of inventory, right? And they're still getting their home sold in less than 10 days or right around that timeline. I know we are with our listings here. So just food for thought there. Stop listening to the news. Don't be scared by the news. Don't be scared about everything crashing down. That's not quite the market we're in. So if you are thinking of selling, amazing, really think about your timeline, your goals. If you have questions about that, let us know or reach out to your real estate agent and they can give you a real synopsis of what's taking place in the market. And if you're buying right now, hey, things are changing, right? There's less competition for you as a buyer. We're starting to see more and more homes hit the market and you might have a little bit more negotiating power, but you're also going to get some breathing room, right? Breathing room that you didn't have months prior, where you're having to, release all contingencies and be crazy and make an offer sight unseen before you even get to see a house just to have a chance at it. That's not happening right now. You're able to have a few days to go see a place and get your offer in and, not release all your contingencies and have inspections and, have a little bit more normal of a transactional environment, right? And so I still think there's plenty of opportunities for buyers, cash or otherwise, right? So again, if you have questions, we do free consultations. If you're thinking about buying or selling, whether it's us or your own agent that you work with, reach out to them and definitely chat with them, bounce some ideas off. Especially if you think that, hey, maybe I can't sell right now, maybe I can't buy right now. That's not the case. Really sit down with the folks who know what they're talking about. Look at your sales team, right? And who's part of your sales team. It might involve your attorney or your CPA, your real estate agent or broker, as well as your mortgage person, right? The people that do your home loans. And really sit down and look at scenarios. Say, hey, what can I sell my house for? What's my realistic net takeaway? How is that going to translate and correlate into me being able to have a larger down payment for a new home, right? What's my monthly mortgage payment going to be? How's that impacted by where current interest rates are, right? So a lot of things, but a lot of people are going to be surprised about the opportunity in the market right now, whether you are a buyer or a seller, right? So I still think there's plenty out there for both sides of the spectrum. So that's it. I've been rambling on today. I appreciate everyone's time and attention on this. Excuse me as I pan back to my notes here because I have just so many notes for everybody. But have an amazing day. Questions as always, feel free to give us a holler, info@bondreg.com, or visit our website and inquire. Always appreciate the time. Thanks so much.